So, welcome to the fourth session of Wetlands in Action webinar series. If you're new to the series, just as a brief introduction, these webinars are jointly organized as a clustering activity by the Horizon-funded Europe projects, ALFAwetlands, Restore for Seas, ReWet, and Wet Horizons. So welcome everyone, my name is Maria Camara and I am the Communication and Dissemination Manager from ReWet project. And today I will be moderating this session. As a brief recap, so far we've had 3 sessions which cover different topics ranging from greenhouse gases fluxes measurement, also the social aspect of wetland restoration, and the latest ones which covered data-driven wetland monitoring. So if you missed these ones, just to let you know that we have them in our channels. So you just go to our project websites and you can watch them. Today, we're going to be talking about remote sensing of wetland dynamics, and we will have 2 speakers today that I will introduce later on. Okay, so briefly, some basic webinar rules. Just please note that this session is going to be recorded and will be accessible via sister projects communication channels in our websites. Please use the question and answer box to post your questions and comments, and this will be addressed later after the speaker's presentation in the Q&A session. And finally, if you have any technical issues, please contact the host privately via chat. So, among other activities that us sister projects are jointly working on, we have our wetland restoration LinkedIn group, which is managed by the communication leaders of the sister projects. And this space is meant for wetland restoration exchanges between researchers, practitioners, and other stakeholders. There is automatic acceptance, but if you cannot join, please let us know and we will be more than happy to help you and add you to the group. So let's go to the agenda for today. So this is the agenda for today. Right now I'm doing the introduction, and then we'll have a presentation by Parvez Rana from ALFAwetlands. Then he will be followed by Pouya Ghezelayagh from Wet Horizons, and then we will wrap up the session with a few announcements. Okay, so let me first introduce our first speaker, Parvez Rana. He's a senior scientist at the Natural Resources Institute in Finland, and he's also an adjunct professor at the University of Eastern Finland. His work focuses on forestry and peatland biodiversity and also ecosystem services. He uses LiDAR, optical data, satellite, and drone data to do this. And he has more than a decade of experience in research and has authored over 50 peer-reviewed publications. His work combines field observation, advanced geospatial analysis, and machine learning to improve understanding of forest and peatland ecosystems. Parvez, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maria. Do you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. So next slide, please. Okay. So today I'm gonna talk about how we could use the remote sensing data for wetland restoration monitoring. So in the ALFAwetland projects, it is a EU Horizon funded projects, and we have a 27 living lab sites. So you can see in the figure is that our living lab site is from all over Europe, and however they have a different site type. So some of them are focused on peatland forest, some of them are like a non-productive, some of them are peat extraction site, some of them are also floodplain or coastal wetland. So different kind of wetland, and we have a almost like a 9 countries. So it's quite a big project, and we have been using remote sensing data. So today I'm gonna share some of the experience that we have been doing last 4 years. So this is the last year of the project. So we have done quite many of our exercise in the projects. So I will give just a quick example of what we have been doing in last 4 years. So next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So before I can go So I like to give you some background about remote sensing sensor that we have been using. So we are using different sensor. I will just give a short overview or overall. So in remote sensing, there are different kind of platform like spaceborne, airborne, and ground-based remote sensing. So spaceborne is means like a satellite data. For example, Sentinel are one of the satellite that is from European Space Agency, and you could also use airborne data like using the plane. For example, you could get some airborne data, and ground-based is almost like a drone data. So you could fly your drone around 100 or 150 meter from the surface level. So these are the three different sensor platform we could get the data, and we could also could use some other data sources like a terrestrial lidar data, or nowadays we have been also get some data using our mobile phone. So different kind of data, and in the right hand side you can see some picture about the forest, how it will look like. It look like promising that using remote sensing data, we can see the forest, we can see the tree structure, we can see also understory vegetation at some level. So that is an overview of the remote sensing data, different kind of platform we get it. Next slide, please. So when you thought about the forest and peatland, you might thought that there are bunch of variable you could map and you could monitor. And in the alpha wetland projects we have done also quite a lot. So we have been following above ground some variable related to the above ground like tree structure, understory vegetation, dead wood, or habitat. So different kind of information from our wetland we have been monitoring, but also some of them are below ground level in the topsoil. We also measure surface temperature. We also measure related to the water level information like water table depth or soil moisture is also very important for wetland, and also greenhouse gas flux from the soil. So different kind of variable we have been doing in the alpha wetland projects. I will go now in the next slide. Yeah. So this is an example of our exercise. So in this exercise, we see that can we use some of the remote sensing data like LiDAR data, UAV drone, point cloud data, planetoscope satellite data, and then Sentinel-2 satellite data, Landsat satellite data, because there is a trade-off of the different remote sensing data. So our research question is that can you see the difference of different remote sensing data in their performance? And can we also use a simple random forest regression to identify what are the remote sensing feature important for us? And also in the third research question, we try also to upscale our prediction to the wall-to-wall map level. And in the right-hand side, you could see some of the variable we targeted, like what is the potential for biodiversity conservation, species richness, diversity, evenness, dominance. So these are the some indicator also related to the biodiversity. And then we also map carbon storage. We also map bilberry and cowberry yield. We also map timber production. We also map scenic beauty, so recreation potential. Next slide. Yeah. So you, yeah, yes, next slide. Yeah. Yes, here. So before we go some result, we can still need to visit our site. So this is a peatland site. Is a drained peatland forest in from close to Arctic Circle and from Rovaniemi. So we have been measuring like water information, tree structure information, how old the forests are, and what kind of understory vegetation they are. So different kind of activities we have done in the field, and you can see some pictures that our colleague are collecting different kind of data, and also we are been flying the drone in that area. Next slide. And this is another example that how the drain peatland look like. So there is a drainage in the forest, and you can see the bush. So it's not an easy to go this dense forest and collecting the data. So you have to be take a safety precaution when you go to the field, and when you also the weather condition might be one factor you should be consider when you go to the field. So you have to take care different kind of safety instruction when you visit the field. Next slide. And this is a flowchart of how you could get the do all the exercise task step in the exercise. So I'll just quickly give you. So in the left hand side you could see the drone picture. So it means that we have a drone. We start the we can identify the boundary of our interest, and in the drone information we could provide that okay, we need to fly the drone in that area. So boundary we define it, and then we fly using multispectral sensor, lidar sensor. So based on our project task, but it's up to you when you go to the forest or wetland area, and you could choose what kind of data you like to collect. And in the right hand side is the field data. So in our cases, we have been collecting different kind of information related to the forest structure, related to the tree height, diameter, what are the understory vegetation, and what are the like a carbon or bilberry, cowberry yield. So different kind of information we have been collecting from our field data. So both of them are coming together, and when they go down, it means that we are doing the different pre-processing and modeling task. And then in the last step is that we get our map, wall-to-wall map. So next slide. Yeah, this is a bar plot. So you don't need to look at the bar plot, if each every bar plot. I can give you some what is the main what this bar plot is meaning. So it means that we have been comparing different kind of light remote sensing data. So LiDAR data, drone based point cloud, Sentinel-2, Planetoscope, and Sentinel Landsat 9. So in overall, if I say just one sentence, LiDAR data is the most useful for us in our exercise. However, other data is also very important, and they are also promising in for different variable. So it depends on the which variable you are targeting. Like here, we have a targeted 10 different variable. So it might be in your exercise or in your task, you are targeting one variable. So you could choose based on your target variable. So you might be thought that, okay, I like to go carbon storage because that is one important related to the wetland. So you could use even LiDAR data or some other data. Next slide. Yeah. So this is an example of map, wall-to-wall map. So when you say that we like to use wall-to-wall map, because it's not just only float level result we like to see, we like to produce the map. And this is the map you could see that in our exercise we produced. So here we normalize the value. So 0 means the production is, or that that indicator or variable or value is close to 0, and 1 is means that their variable value is the highest value. So we normalize this because we like to compare each other. So we normalize the data. That's why you see range is from 0 to 1. 1 is means maximum potential, 0 means is the lowest potential. And in overall, when we have done this exercise, we found that a different kind of sensor data is promising to produce wall-to-wall map. And next slide. Yeah, and then from this exercise, the main message is that high resolution remote sensing data like LiDAR data is very useful for us, and we could also produce wall-to-wall map. And some part of the result is already published, and some part is still under review. So this is an article we have published recently, last year. So some result is already available for the reader. So you could read the article and you could see the journal name. And if you search by using the title, and you will get the publication. Next slide. And then another exercise we have been doing, water table depth. So why we choose water table depth here, if you ask me, is because wetland is information is very much related to the water. So you need to know what kind of water level is this, and they are connected to the ecosystem function, greenhouse gas dynamics, and vegetation pattern. So water table is really important variable. And when you say that I could visit each float and I could get the water table, but this is not the case, because water table is both spatial and also temporal scale are very important. You cannot visit every now and then, is very expensive. So we have to rely on remote sensing data. So we have been using remote sensing data, and in this exercise we have also case study area on not only from Finland. So we have a study area from Estonia, Latvia, Belgium. So we have a different site, and we have been gathering the field data from all of the site, and we have been also collecting remote sensing data, optical remote sensing data. Next slide. So I will now show you some scatter plot you might be see. In the x-axis is the our predicted value. In the y-axis is our observed water table result. So in Finland, we have a different kind of treatment. So LS underscore clear means is from left to suo. This is one of the Finnish side. LS partial is also a Finnish side. LS control is also a Finnish side. And in the next row, Plabi, Urosuo, those are the Estonian side. And also we have some side from Latvia, and some of the last slide are from Belgium. In overall, if you see the scatter plot, if the dot are close to the black line, that means that correlation is good and our model is capable. But sometimes you could also see that our model is not capable, especially if you look at Plabi. It's almost like our model is suffering quite a lot. It is because we have only 1 year data from Plavi, and also the variation of the water table is very high. So it is almost like a close to 50 until 150. So it's like a quite much variation in the water table, and it is only 1 year data. And when we use Sentinel-2 data, we didn't have much. It is not much. They have a capacity to estimate that kind of variation. So that is also one limitation of our remote sensing. Next slide. So what is the take-home message from this water table monitoring? So it means that we have variation in our modeling performance. So it is not only each site is some site we found that we have a good data set and they are working, but some site we found that the variation is so high and we have a some like small data set. So it is not sufficient for us. So that is one take-home message. And also within a site, for example, in one site, even still the variation is so high, is that model even sometimes suffer quite a lot. And in overall Sentinel-2 data, for example, infrared variable are very important for us, because infrared variable are giving information related to the water. So that's why we found that water information is important, and also we could use auxiliary data in the modeling. Next slide. Yeah. And this is the last exercise that we have. We like to show you. It is from gross primary production. Is from we have also different site in this. We have a one site in Finland, Lehtasuo, one site in Estonia, Agali, and two site from Germany. And so four different site. And what we have done using the eddy covariance tower, we know what is the field data about gross primary production, but our exercise is that can we use remote sensing data like Landsat data, Landsat 9 data, or 8 or 7 is up to you when you choose. You could use those Landsat data to predict the gross primary production, or GPP in short. So our idea is that can we use this data in different site, and can we also upscale it? Next slide. And this is the flowchart of our model. So we use the Landsat 5, 7, 8, 9, and we have a GPP observation from the flux tower in each of the site. So we extract the data from the flux sites, and we use the train and test partition, and we use random forest regression. We use the Gini index for variable importance, and then in the finally we use the wall-to-wall map. And what we did all the exercise here in this one for GPP, we have done it completely on the Google Earth Engine. And why I was saying that Google Earth Engine is important, because if you like to use for so many different sites, in our cases, it is very time consuming to use our local computer, and downloading all the images is so demanding. So we have to rely on the cloud computing, and we used Google Earth Engine. So it was very useful exercise for us. Next slide. Now you could see example of how we did it. So you could see that we have been using Google Earth Engine for our case study. You could have a look how we did it. So, so the main idea is that when you done this is automated, so you get the output from all the living lab. So when you build the model for one site, and is you can upscale it for larger area also. So this is the benefit of Google Earth Engine. Next slide. Yeah. And now you could see our time series for validation GPP observed versus predicted. And in the time series, I like to show you that this blue color is our predicted value, and black dot is our observed. And if you see the trend, like it is a one from month from day 0 to until 360 days. So you could see that our like predicted is following the trend. So when the summer is coming, you see that it is high. So GPP value go high in the summertime, and in the winter time, the GPP value is going down. So go up in the summer, and in the go down in the winter. So our prediction is pretty much following the trend. So that is an outcome, good outcome from our exercise. Next slide. So main take-home message from this exercise is that we could use Landsat data for our GPP modeling, and we have been using Google Earth Engine, and we found that this is very useful, and you could it is highly beneficial that you could rely on Google Earth Engine for cloud computing. And we get the output in 30-meter resolution. That is the size pixel size in Google Earth Engine for Landsat. But as I say that you could also use some other way. For example, Sentinel-2, it has also 10-meter resolution, so you could try that exercise. I think that would be a good option for you also to see. Is there any slide left? Yeah. So this is just this you can see that alpha wetland projects, you get the information. You could follow us on different level. So we will share our result in different site, LinkedIn, Facebook, or some other also. So please follow us, and we will see our result more in there also. Thank you all. Any question?
Thank you, Parvez. Very interesting presentation with all the three cases and your results. And we have a couple questions in our chat for you. So the first one, they are asking what sensors did you use for water table depth analysis?
So water table depth, we use Sentinel-2, and I think Sentinel-2 data only. But in some other exercises, we also combine with Sentinel-1. So in this exercise that I show you, only Sentinel-2, but Sentinel-1 is also we used in some other cases. So I think Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-1 might be good choice for water table.
Thank you. Okay, so we have another one. They ask if you discover correlations between biodiversity indices and scenic beauty.
Yeah. So in this that exercise that we show scenic beauty is specific to our case study. So in our case study, area was in close to Arctic, in Rovaniemi. So scenic beauty here is means that in Finland, especially if you have a pine tree and there is a walking trail, people can walk. There is no underground bush, and they say that this is a good place for recreation or scenic beauty because they can walk around. So the score is coming from based on their expert opinion, and the biodiversity, it could be different. So it could be understory vegetation and also overstory vegetation. So that is combined. So the correlation, there should be a correlation, but we treat them separately. And it's because the expert opinion is that scenic beauty is indicating more like a walking trail in that area, because people, when they say that recreation, it means that they can walk in the forest, and then that is more for recreation purpose and it's a scenic beauty. So that is the expert opinion. So and we take the expert opinion value based on that.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple more. This one is already also related to the water table. They're asking, how did you estimate the water table depth from sensor data?
Which set do you have in the field? So we have collected the field like a ground truth data. So that is our, but in the sensor it means that setter, if you mean the sentinel sensor, so it means that we extracted different kind of variable from Sentinel-2. So we extracted related to the water information, and we extracted related to the vegetation information like vegetation index, water index, moisture index. So we calculated many indexes from the Sentinel-2 sensor. So Sentinel-2 sensor has around several band. It has a 10-meter resolution, and it has also 30-meter resolution. And we extracted each individual band, and we also used in different kind of indices. And then we use the random forest regression for our modeling.
Okay, we have many other questions. Let's see. There's another questions. They ask if they need if do we need field data to monitor the water table in managed peatlands?
Yes, we need the field data. So we have used the field data from each side. Otherwise, we cannot validate our map. So we have been measuring or monitoring the data in our site. So it is we have a continuous monitoring data, and we have also temporal resolution. Like in the summertime, we have been in the forest, or in also in the wetland area, and also in the autumn time. So it depends in our site. So some site we have a continuous data, so automated monitoring, but in some site it's like every time some of our colleague visit to the wetland and measure the water table.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go for the last one because we are a bit tight on time right now. So this is the last question. How did you manage your missing data in the time series data from Landsat?
Okay, if it is related to the water table, we didn't use the Landsat for water table. We in that case, as we use only Sentinel-2. Landsat was used for our GPP, and we have been using only the GPP observation that is close to our ground truth data. So if it is, we have a time window. So if it is not that date, we choose still 15 date, like after and before. So if there is no images available on that, then we ignore it. We still only looking for like a 30 days window. So we do not go out of that. So we have a some kind of window that it cannot go out of that window period. So if there is no data available on that time period, we just do not use it. But still, the other way is possible. Like you could use the filling the gap, but in that exercise, we didn't try that option.
Thank you, Parvez. Thank you for the presentation and answering to all these questions. Now we will move to our second speaker. Our second speaker is Pouya Ghezelayagh. Pouya is an environmental scientist at the Warsaw University of Life Sciences. He specializes in hydrology and remote sensing, and his research focuses on peatland dynamic using satellite data observation and geospatial datasets. He has developed a remote sensing framework for estimating carbon emissions from peatlands using Subsidence as a proxy. And he is the lead author of several peer-reviewed articles on peatland ecosystem processes. Pouya, please go ahead.
Thank you, Maria, and also thank you to Irena and Lina for the organization of this session. First of all, before anything else, I would like to demand 1 minute in silence um, for the honor, the memory of Iranian people who were killed recently. Is it okay if I demand that 1 minute in silence?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank, thank you for your understanding. I, I, I feel a little bit better. So let's get start my presentation in which I'm gonna introduce a fully remote sensing framework for qualifying peat carbon emissions in large scales. First of all, I need to emphasize the importance of peatlands in terms of climate change. As you probably know, peatlands are covering less than 3% of the surface of our planet, and meanwhile, they are the largest terrestrial natural carbon resources. And a fun fact about them is that they stored more carbon than combined biomass of all the tropical rainforests. And the significant rule of peatlands, let's say, is that they have ability to act as either carbon sink or carbon source. It means that if peatlands are in a good condition, they absorb carbon from the atmosphere. Meanwhile, if they are in a bad condition, they emit a substantial amount of carbon into the atmosphere. So from a climate change perspective, we can say these unique ecosystems play pivotal role in mitigating climate change. The aim of this study is not to explore the causes and influences of the peat degradation, although we did this through a comprehensive, let's say, spatial temporal analysis, which were published in Stoughton, and I highly recommend that if you are interested in this topic, uh, uh, take a look at this paper and reach me by email if you have any question. But the aim of this study is to introduce a remote sensing based tool to monitoring carbon emissions from peatlands in large scale. And the main assumption behind this study is simple. Um, if peatlands if peatlands emit carbon into the atmosphere, this emission resulted in the reduction volume of the peat, and this reduction volume of the peat emerged as a subsidence. So it's safe to say that the subsidence rate can serve as a proxy for estimating carbon emissions for peatlands. And the formula behind it is very simple. Um, uh, as you can see, by multiplying these four parameters, you would be able to estimate carbon emissions. And these four parameters are oxidation component, subsidence rate, and bulk density and soil organic carbon content. This is a very simple formula, but it's not easy because it requires to acquisition of all of these four parameters. So the next step of our research was that to establish a method for each of these parameters. First, for peat subsidence rate, uh, we developed a remote sensing-based indicator uh, through which you can detect the vertical displacement of the uh, peatlands areas. And um, with this developed indicator, you would be able to uh, uh, detect the peat subsidence of your case study. So uh, it is possible with this remote sensing based indicator to detect the subsidence rate. But um, the rate of subsidence um, is not enough because um, there is another factor that related to dropping groundwater level known as a shrinkage in it. And so the distinguishing between oxidation process and shrinkage process is very crucial uh, for this approach, and that's where the alpha comes to play. And the um, main the question is that how can we determine alpha? For answering that question, we literature reviewed almost all the paper regarding this topic, and we found that a lack of transparency. Some papers assume ranging from 60% to 100%, while others reported uh, ranging from 60% to 50%. And this lack of transparency confirms that there is an urgent need to adopt a unified approach for determining alpha. And that was our first goal of this study. And for that, we come across with a great, let's say, great research conducted by Ma and his colleague, in which they established link between peat subsidence rate, drainage duration, and the oxidation component. And by modifying the equations they provide, we propose the table number 2, through which you would be able to determine alpha just by having subsidence rate and peatland type. So far so good. We can determine alpha, and it can detect peat subsidence rate. So we need to go for two other parameters, which are bulk density and soil organic carbon content. First definition. The bulk density refers to the mass of peat contained in a given volume, while the soil organic carbon content shows how much carbon is packed into a certain weight of peatlands. The units for them is for bulk density is kilogram per cubic meter, and for soil organic carbon content is gram carbon per kilogram, or simply percentage. For determining bulk density and soil organic carbon content, again, we literature reviewed the relevant papers, and we found that there are mainly two approaches. First one is, of course, the lab analysis of soil samples. And as you know, these kind of analysis are very time consuming, they are costly. You need to get to the field and take collect your data, measure the data, and it's very difficult. And for overcoming this difficulty, many papers assign to uh, fixed value of 80 for bulk density and 55% for soil organic carbon content. And as you can see, also this approach um, address the difficulty, but it's oversimplified the topic, the subject, and that's why the other primary goal of this research was that to propose a new way to determining these parameters. And for that, we combined two data sets provided by Lewis for northern boreal and temperate peatlands, and August for tropical peatlands. We combined these two data sets in one single table, so you can assign a better value um, for bulk density and soil organic carbon regarding the location of your case study. Let's take Alaska. If your case study is um, located in Alaska, you would be able to uh, assign bulk density um, as a 168, which as a result of 1,659 say, sample soil sampling, and it's very better to use this value instead of that fixed value of 80, and also for soil organic carbon content. We will get back to this in next slide. So combining all of these parameters and putting them together, we proposed our framework through which you would be able to estimate the rate of peatland carbon emissions from the peatlands remotely. And now for next step, we wanted to implement this framework into the real world. So we implement the framework into our case study, which was Valley, located in northeastern of Poland. And by implementing this framework, first we generate this map, which shows the vertical displacement of our case study. And as you can see, we detect almost a 1.5 centimeter subsidence is the Beaver Valley is experiencing a 1.5 centimeter subsidence, sadly. And for oxidation component, combining subsidence rate and land use class together with the equations that I told you before, we generate another map that shows the oxidation component. And as you can see in the histogram, the average, on average, it's 35% for our case study. And for bulk density and soil organic carbon content, considering the location of Beaver Valley, which is located in continental Europe, we assigned these two values for bulk density and soil organic carbon content. So we chose 120 for bulk density and about 39% for soil organic carbon content. And uh, before generating the final estimation of our case study and using the framework, we wanted to validate these values. And so we validate them against the field measurement we had. And by normalizing the differences between the central value using the combined standard deviation, we indicate that these values obtained from the table are in a good alignment with the observed data. And as you can see, they are much closer to the real observed data than those of fixed values of 80 and 55%. And finally, putting all of these together through the framework, how we generate the final map that shows the distribution of the carbon emission rate from the Beaver Valley. And as you can see in the histogram, we detect, or let's say we estimate 7.5, almost 7.5 ton carbon dioxide equivalent is emitting from Beaver Valley, from each hectare of Beaver Valley annually. And for conclusion, I also would like to mention that the content of this presentation that was I trying to uh, present it in the simplest way I can do to better understanding of this. The content is available in the paper entitled Towards a Remote Sensing Based Assessment of Carbon Emission for Peatlands. And also, I would like to draw your attention to the word towards, that emphasize that um, the main goal of this research is still undergoing, and we need to take consistent steps to achieve it. And to wrap up my presentation, uh, I've also added one more slide that shows the difficulties and limitations of the remote sensing approach approaches. And uh, I also wanted to say that uh, even though remote sensing is not yet perfectly accurate, but it gives us a very much better understanding of the environment, especially in the global impacts of environment. And also it's a rapidly growing field that deserve uh, uh, to uh, uh, be in it. You know, I mean, we need to be pioneer in this kind of field of research. And for acknowledgement, I would like to thank to Wet Horizon Project and also the European Space Agency and Alaska Satellite Facility and Force Project. And here are my references. And thank you for your attention. I'm here for your questions.
Thank you, Pooja. A very insightful presentation. We have
Thank you.
several questions in the chat. I'm going to go for the first one. They're asking what could be the future of this remote sensing tool? Could that be usable in emission regulations and accounting?
Uh, yes, the future is, I think the future is bright and clear because uh, with using machine learning and combining machine learning with the remote sensing, we will see, uh, I would say, the revolutionize approaches in the future, I think. And it's a great field, especially in the AI age. And I think we will see what's going on next. But if you mean the future about my research is there are, as you can see, there are plenty of um, areas that needs to be improved, and step by step we can improve them, I think.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go for the next one. Wow, there's a lot of questions here. I'm going to go for the what are the possible reasons for such emissions in Poland? Is the peatland used as a agricultural land?
Uh, First of all, I need to say that I granted a ancient project from Poland, and I wanted to implement all of these methodology for whole Poland. And for each category of peatlands, we need to have some kind of refinement and optimization process. Uh, I would say I cannot go into the details of this kind of optimization, but I recommend you to read the papers and reach me by email if you have any questions.
Thank you, Pooja. Actually, I cannot go over all the questions because we need to wrap up, but all the questions that were left unanswered, just please reach our speakers and they will be happy to
Of
answer
course.
you. So let's move on to the wrap up of this fourth session. My colleague Irina, she has some announcements to make here. Irina.
Yes, Thank you, Maria, and thank you to our speakers. It was really great to know how the remote sensing can be used in research, in wetland research, and to help us to restore our wetlands better. As you know, we are not finishing our session with today's session, and we would like to have more sessions with you, and we are happy that our community is growing. Therefore, we will have, as usually, a short final questionnaire. So after finishing this webinar, please stay next to your computer and answer to few questions. So how did you like the webinar? How you will use the knowledge you got during this webinar in your further work, activity, education or research. And also we would like to hear from you in what results of our research projects you would be interested, because we are planning our next session and we would like to share with you some of our first results, and therefore we are really interested what kind of results you would be interested in. And with this, I would also like to promote another event, so we will not leave you without our attention in March. And Maria, next slide, please. We will also hold in ALFAwetlands series of our training sessions for practitioners about co-creation and inclusive wetland restoration. So in these trainings, we will propose you our methodology, which was developed within the ALFAwetlands project and was also practically tested on the living labs, which are our research sites in different European countries. I will share the registration link in a minute. And with this, I will pass the floor again to my colleague Maria to introduce our next plans together with our sister project. Thank you.
Thank you, Irina. So this webinar series doesn't end here. We have our session number 5, and this time we will take a big shift and move to policy. So this webinar, we still don't have a fixed date, but it will be most likely be held in March or April. So we will let you know through our wetland restoration LinkedIn group and also in each of our projects communication channels. So please stay updated as we will be sharing more information soon. So I would like to say thank you to our wonderful speakers today and the audience for being so active and interacting with our speakers, and also to my colleagues from the sister projects, Irina, Lena, for giving me technical assistance in this session. Thank you again to everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this session, and we hope to see you in the next one. And don't forget that you have here in the chat a link for the Alpha Co-Creation training course and different resources that we have shared today with you. So with that, I would like to close up. I don't know if Irina has something else to say.
No, I just shared that the questionnaire survey will also be sent to the email addresses we received during registration, and there is another chance to fill it out tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you in our next session. Have a nice day.